Hello world of YouTube, this is Archie, writer of short stories, poems, and lyrics. Today I am finally getting a chance to start more of my documentary of missing for 31 years. This is the story based on a kid that I once met in my childhood, and right in front of you is the house where he actually lived. Beyond the pickup truck you see over there is the actual door of the front door of the house he lived in. And I ain't got much time here today, but today I am going over the first point of interest of the story, which is where in the story Detective Aubuchon is letting people know where he thinks Taj Narbonne is buried. And like I say, I'm not saying Detective Aubuchon is wrong. I'm not saying that he don't know his investigation. Of course, he's the main detective that's been on this for the longest time and reopened the case, I believe, be safe to say. But there's something that happened to me 2 years ago in 2010, which drawn me to this story because of the simple fact that I think I had a ghost encounter with Taj. I mean, I'm not a psychic, and you can believe me or not, but when I opened up the article for the first time in many, many years of, probably even knowing him when I was a kid and meeting him in these streets of Leominster, Mass, I can honestly say, yeah, something hit me and weird, strange things started to happen in 2010. But in 2010, I actually didn't know of the paper or opened it up until 2011, but things occurred in 2010 around this area, which I will be bringing you and showing you every point and interest of my thoughts, my theories, and that is how this whole thing is gonna roll out on. But I am doing this to show, where he lived. I'm bringing you to the end of Christine Street, which is where Clarence Dean, the stepfather of Taj, supposedly brought him. But at the end of Christine Street is a very crooked turn, and I can honestly say that once you step into watching my videos, you're stepping into a twisted, demented maze. And I can guarantee you right now that when you start watching these and you walk into this maze, you will not be walking out until Taj Narbonne is found and buried in his right burial place. So looking at the house here, I had the chance to look it up on Farmer's Almanac, the weather of the 2 days, the 30th and the 31st. Now they say in the newspaper article that it was cool out, and of course, yeah, what child is gonna run away on cool winter days with just one pair of clothes, which what the paper article said. And I know I tried running away when I was a child myself at the age of 6. And I'll tell you right now, I packed up a bag and I packed up one of my favorite toys, and I knew where I was going. And after that, if I didn't have a place to go, trying to run away, I wouldn't try it, because where would you go with no money? Where would you be with no money? You can't go somewhere unless you do know someone that's going to take you in, and support you. And I don't know, I can't say what Taj had back then, but all I know is that for him to just get up and walk out like he did, leaving a note on his bed saying that I don't want to live here no more, I'm leaving, and that I don't want to listen to nobody no more. The weather that day being cold, and that note that day being cold, it just don't sound like him. And yes, I did have a brief encounter with him when I was a child, and I think I would have been more of a friend today and knew him today if my personal problems of my family didn't start up just around in the same exact year of this missing child thing of Taj came out, my parents were in the process of splitting up. So I ended up not coming out to Leominster here no more. So, right. I think, though, if I would have, I probably would have been better friends and kept more contact with Taj. I think he would have been alive today. But I'm going to try and do quick here. I don't want to do so quick where I can't get out the point of interest and everything. But, yeah, I just got messed up a minute ago due to people, you know, asking me what I'm doing. So that's why I got to try and do this quick. But, so here we have the house, and supposedly Clarence Dean somehow got Taj's body out of this house, which I think he did get the body out, which the article said in the newspaper that, yeah, Annette went to bed around midnight. Taj was in bed, and woke up about 1:30, went out into the kitchen looking for Clarence because he was not in bed. And he surprised her coming in from the back door, which I can't get over the thing. Yeah, it's getting windy out here. Great. But yeah, it's and then, like I said, for Farmer's Almanac, I looked up on these 2 days of weather. Not only was it cold out, but it was also drizzle rain. So there was rain, not heavy rain, but drizzle, right? And so they say that he came, and when she was looking for him, he surprised her from the back, knocked over the beer bottles or whatever off the counter. And you know, what gets me is that, why would she send in Clarence of all this fear that he had in her child and tell him to go comfort him and tell him nothing's going on, if she knew that what he was? And then she went back to bed, obviously. So I don't understand that. And there was something I said to Detective Arbitron that I messed up on, and I said in one of my parts here, this is part 3 actually, but in part 1 I think I said that he had an hour and a half time frame. Clarence Dean did not have an hour and a half time frame. I messed up, and I want to clear that here, because if Annette went back to bed and left Clarence in charge, be safe to say about 2:15 falling asleep, Clarence Dean had almost 5 hours to dispose of Taj's body. So what I think happened here that night, Clarence suffocated Taj in his bed when Annette went to sleep at the first round. Second round got up. Of course Taj ain't gonna get up and say this and that, and you know, so she said that everything looked calm and sent them in there and went back to bed. And you know, it's just crazy to do that in my eyes. But what else can you do? And after that, after she fell asleep, and he made sure that he took the body where Detective Arbitron believes, where I'm bringing you next, is at the end of Christine Street. So we're gonna take a little ride on this journey to show you where Detective Arbitron believes Taj is, and then afterwards I'm gonna go over it in another video to clear up some more info on this, you know, so we can so I can, because I ain't got time out here to do this, and people are starting to come out, and I don't want to be starting over again. So let's take a ride now. The journey starts here of the first place of interest of where Taj is supposedly buried. So bear with me, I gotta wrap up the camera here and drive down the street. And I can tell you right now, like I said, you're in a maze now. You're not getting out. And when we get to the end of the street, there's gonna be a twist to this story. And it even gets more crazy. So let me see what we can get going on here. we are backing out. Bear with me, I'm getting caught up in the steering wheel. Now all these houses did exist back then, except for one, which was built in 1982. And that's where we are going now. And the only reason why I bring that up as a point of interest, and it's important in this story, is because, of course, a year later a house was built, and Detective Aubuchon believes he's in these woods. But I don't understand how, if the case back then of a missing child would be out in these woods, why would they let construction happen? And that's a big part in my eyes, because it's not in a newspaper article. And like I said, all these houses did exist. The last one built before this one was 1971. Two of them were. But this one here was built a year later. And that's what brings a major twist in this story. Now, as you can see over here, I want to show something. So I think all this back in 1982 was nothing but a set of woods. I don't know. I think it took at least a year back in them days to build a house. It's not like today where they can throw up a house in 4 days. No, 4 months, excuse me. They do it quick now. And this is a big house here. And yeah, I just don't, yeah, bear with me. This is a pain in the butt. I don't understand why, if they said that Taj was buried in these woods, why would they let construction happen? That's a big interest in my eyes. I stopped here last year when I was going to start all this, to figure out, what's going on over here. And yeah, that's what I got. But, yeah, alright, bear with me. So 1982, all this was woods. And you can see over there in the distance how the line is separated from the end of the road. Now over here is an open path which I can't get over to now. Of course you can see it's been flooded out, but over there I believe that's where they begin their searches to supposedly out in them set of woods there, or maybe out yonder over there where that white tree sticks up. They might go out that way. I don't know where they began looking, but like I said, this house was built in 1982. Now, for what reasons they did not stop construction on this, for searching purposes, but obviously this had to have been a tip that came in later on. That's what I think. Like I said, I'm going over the newspaper article. I do not know much, and I could not get much out of Detective Aubuchon. But these are my thoughts, these are my theories. And like I said, this whole cul-de-sac was woods. And all depending, I don't know, there's one theory that I could say about this, is that if Clarence Dean somehow knew that this building was getting built, I mean, he probably came out here knowing that this place is gonna get, all trees. So maybe he buried him somewhere, where he knew, somehow this would be built. And maybe he's under the asphalt here, pre-dug a hole. You never know. Somehow he could have found out and just came out this far. He could be under the, I don't know about under the foundation of this house. Because if they would have dug it up to put the foundation in, there are, of course, bones or something maybe could have got dug up. But there's a lot of questions in this story. A lot of questions. I'm telling you, it's to me, the more and more I go over it, the more and more stuff that come in my head. And I mean, it's nuts. It's like I said, you're walking into a maze. And this is a pretty large house, so I mean, whatever chances of him being out in these woods, it's possible. But my thought and my theory is why would he drive this far, knowing that all these houses were existing? Someone could have got up, wondering, who's driving down the street in midnight. But then again, it was drizzling out. If everybody had their windows shut, you got so many options to go with. But thinking of this, it needs to be known. And all I know in the end is what I'm looking for is to get Detective Arbitron the help he needs to find him. And if it takes, a lot of time and whatnot just to do it, or there's a one day that he can get everybody out here, that's my way of wanting to get this going. Because he should be found. And this would be one more kid off the map of missing child. And I would like to see that. Because it's only growing. It's growing. The more and more kids I see on the news these days falling out of windows, or parents leaving them in dumpsters. And you know what? I think people in my eyes should be evaluated these days. I think people should be evaluated, and they should be, see if they're sane enough to take care of a child. Because that is one big responsibility that if you don't do, you ain't gonna make it. And I think Clarence Dean, being the jealous person he was, I mean, that did it, I knew a lot of jealous people in my life. I watched a lot of relationships, boy, growing up. And that's the thing between me and Taj. I grew up a survivor, a fighter. He was not just that, but, I mean, he was probably more of a soft-hearted kid that just didn't know what to do. If he had someone like me guiding him and making him I think he'd be alive to this day. But like I said, my own personal problems and my family's left me to be just one step behind him. I'm 1.5 years younger than him, and my stuff started of my parents splitting up, just the same time that he ended up missing. And back then, boy, the people back then, there's a lot of mysteries on this earth, and people that are sick and insane, and it's just, it's disgusting. And I want to find out, and I want to get rid of this sickness that people have towards kids, because it's disgusting. But anyways, today this was my first point of interest. This is where Detective Arbitron believes Taj is, and I want to go over a little more in another video. Hell, I'm gonna walk over here a second and give you a little view. But like I said, I'm gonna bring you to other places, and this is the pathway to the woods, and I will be bringing you to other places of my thoughts, my theories of where he is. But today, this is where Detective Arbitron believes he is, and like I said, I don't know what they were thinking building this house if there was a case here, but of course that must have been a later tip that was brought up, from someone that knew this stuff. There are people out there that know it. Detective Officer Sean said it. And I believe, yeah, there's more out there, though, than just this one area. I think there could be other ones. And I think when I get done with all this, there will be more, space to search. But I think what encounters that have happened to me in the past 3 years now, 2, 3 years, I think I'm close. Because what happened to me, I tell you, it was an encounter with a ghost, and it was Taj. And I mean, the dreams I've had and the stuff I've been witnessing these days, I can go over all night with it, and it's freaky. But it's like a cry for help, and I think I'm here to do that. So until the next part, this is part 3. We're going to part 4. I will be going over a little more, explaining a little more the story, and going over a little more that I messed up on in the previous videos. Because yeah, I've been going over and over more. I've been coming up with more stuff of where he could be, and I'll tell you, welcome to the maze. You're not getting out until his body is found and put in the right burial. Other than that, YouTube, I hope you enjoy this series of videos I'm doing. Other than that, let's get to the next part. In part 5, I'm going to be bringing you to Route 31. That's another part of the story in the newspaper that is got to do with this trying to stab of Annette. And Route 31 has a lot of mysteries on that route throughout the whole area. And I'll tell you right now, it's freaky just even thinking of it now that I've more research I've done over there. And that land was and ran back in the day by Indians. So I'll tell you right now, the shamans back then, they were crazy. All Indians back then were crazy towards the white man. So there's a lot of stuff to go over there, and hopefully I got out what I could today due to, trying to get it right. But I'm going to go over more, and I'll get it, more details in as I can. But to make this straighten out in the end, yeah, this is a little rough how I got to do it because lack of vehicle. I'm tough getting a ride around to do all this. But next video, I'll see you there, and hopefully we can close this case and maybe even move on to more cases, because if it comes out good, maybe I can do some more and help out some people. Who knows? Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.